Welcome back to The Job That Built Me. Today we're sitting down with firefighter Casey Fury from Roanoke City, Virginia. Casey's fire service roots run deep. He grew up in his dad's firehouse in New Jersey and started as a junior member at 14 years old. Now with nearly 7 years on the job in Roanoke, he splits his time between the engine and medic unit, with a passion for engine work and technical rescue. In this episode, we'll talk about his journey, the lessons he's learned, and what it means to be a part of a fast-paced, aggressive department. We'll also dive into his involvement in the Virginia Rescue Challenge, leadership in the fire service, and his next big chapter, fatherhood. So let's get into it. This is The Job That Built Me.
Have you recorded or done stuff and not had it recording?
Yep.
That's awesome.
It's happened. It definitely happened. There may or may not be a whole episode that's missing somewhere.
That's terrible.
There's quite a few of them that are not perfect, but nothing's ever going to be perfect.
Work in progress, baby. Work in progress. All right, Case, tell us about yourself. How'd you get started in the fire service, man?
All right, so I was born into it. My family's been in the fire service. I had to do the math. 115 years and counting. My great whatever it ended up being joined the Matawan Hose Company or Washington Hose Company in Matawan in 1910. And then it's run from there. So we've been there. Spring Lake at Goodwill Fire Company was my grandfather. And then Spring Lake Heights, my Uncle Billy. He's still a life member there. And then my dad was in West Belmar in Wall Township. I grew up in his firehouse. I have most of my core childhood memories, are on 18th Avenue right there. I think my baptism party after I got baptized was at the firehouse right next to the bar. And I spent years running around there. The biggest memory I tell everyone is I remember sitting on the dog box of 189, running calls, holding on to two Streamlight flashlights that were mounted to it, pulling the air horn as we went down the road and Dad was driving, whoever was sitting in the officer's seat. Doing the Christmas with Santa, riding around the old Mac, throwing candy at people, and, all those kind of core memories and good times, and grew up in it that way. I started volunteering in Glendola as a junior member in 2008 or 9, 8th grade, whenever the earliest time was you can join. Stayed there for a little bit. Got into EMS in 2010 with the first aid squads and Wall. Got my EMT at 16 and then progressed with that. Ended up working some career EMS. I went to college, got Fire 1 in Maryland initially through Frederick County. And then came back, and by then my parents, we had moved to Brielle. So I left the Wall Township departments and then joined Point Beach. And then spent the rest of my time in New Jersey, Point Pleasant Beach, Ocean Fire Company No. 1. That's kind of where I really developed, as an adult in the fire service, away from that junior member time frame. College I was on, but wasn't overly active, right? The closest firehouse wasn't close to the campus. I was playing Division I rugby at the time. So, and then also trying to not fail out of school, which was probably the hardest part. So fire service and everything kind of took a back seat, during that time, but it was still my passion. So then came home, worked for a local police agency, decided that wasn't the route that I wanted to go. And then really decided to pursue the fire service. So I applied mainly out of state, right? You got the civil service process up north that is a pain, and I couldn't afford to live anywhere near my parents in Brielle. So I went on this grand tour of Maryland and Virginia, and I tested for 5 or 6 departments in a 1-week period. They all were in that same time frame. So I went down to like Baltimore County, Alexandria, Arlington, Prince William, and then Roanoke. And then Roanoke was the first one to call and took the offer. Moved down to Roanoke, Virginia in 2018. Been here ever since.
It's pretty awesome. I mean,
Cool.
that sounds very reminiscent of Jamie and I.
Yeah.
There's a couple of little different turns in there.
Yeah.
A couple.
And speaking of Point Beach, they had a job last night, right?
They
Yeah,
did.
that job
They
was
had a
nice.
job at a motel. Point Beach, man, has motel jobs. Granted, there's one on like every corner.
Yeah, it's like every
Motel,
block.
hotel, Holiday Inn.
Yep.
But they had one at like 3 a.m. I haven't looked at it yet, but
Yeah.
I finally turned the e-dispatch off a couple years ago. I'm still on the rolls there. I think I still have a set of turnout gear in a locker somewhere, and every summer when I come up to see my parents, I'll try and catch a run. But
We'll have to put you in the buff chat.
Yeah.
The thing never stops. It's just your phone vibrates the entire
Professional.
time. The battery dies in an
We
hour.
have a professional buff chat.
yeah, I'll tell you, that's a part I didn't mention is buffing. That was huge. I mean, there's names I could mention that you both would probably know, but, especially the shore towns as a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, and you're like, oh, let's go buff this, and then you watch it starts getting bigger, and you're like, all right, let's go to our firehouse. Maybe we'll end up on this. Or you're out to lunch, and all of a sudden, so-and-so catches a job, and you're like, hey, let's take this to go. We'll go to the firehouse. We might go to this. And, just that bug and that itch, constantly wanting to go to jobs and driving all over the Jersey Shore to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can either confirm or deny that still happens.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
I know a guy that does that. So where do you assign to Roanoke right now?
Currently, I'm assigned to Engine Company 14, Station 14. We're not assigned to a specific apparatus. So we have Engine 14, Medic 14. Like you, Rich, I ride a box. So I split my time 50-50 between the Medic and the engine. So I've been there for about a year. It's one of our slower assignments. Our engine probably didn't hit 1,000 runs last year. It's the second slowest engine in the city. But we added the Medic truck this past March of 2024. And the captain I was assigned with at Station 13 got reassigned there, and he asked me if I would go out there with him to help get that up and running. I'm told. But it's a good time. We have a great crew. Crew makes everything. Station assignments, we always say that every assignment is temporary, and it's what you make out of it. So I can't complain about that.
Mm-hmm. What are you riding on the engine 3?
3, yeah. So we're a little different than a lot of places. So our house is staffed with a captain, a lieutenant, and then 4 firefighters on every shift. So ABC. Our lieutenants are engineers or chauffeurs. And then they ride up if the captain's off. So they'll slide over. Firefighters aren't allowed to ride the seat. We can obviously drive, but the lieutenant's like the junior officer in the company, and then the captain's the senior officer. And we have first lieutenants that ride the seat of ladder trucks. So years ago, they had captain, engine, and ladder. They would butt heads a lot in your dual companies about who's actually in charge. So now you have the captain, runs the house, is in charge, rides the seat of the engine. First lieutenant in charge of the ladder company, and then the lieutenants are the drivers.
Nice. I think it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Creates promotion opportunities, and, it's just a different title in a lot of places, engineer, chauffeur.
Yeah, definitely. And what are the demographics of Roanoke City?
So we're about 100,000 people in 43 square miles. We have 11 houses, 10 engines, 4 ladders, 10 ambulances, whether AOS or BOS, 2 battalion chiefs, 2 EMS supervisors, and then 3 power trucks, like power ambulances that are staffed with full-time EMS personnel or part-time staffing, and they work the daylight hours. So we run about 35,000 runs a year.
So it's 100,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
43 square miles. How many rigs again?
10 engines, 4 ladders, and then 10 ambulances.
Makes you think, huh, James?
Yeah.
Makes you think.
Wonder what you probably know what's going through my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, both. I know both
Wheels are spinning.
departments.
And EMS is strictly under the fire department. There's no like private contracting or anything like that.
Correct. Yeah. Now you have your transport companies and stuff that the local hospital system, they'll answer 911 runs if we're tied, like we're fully dumped. And then we have our neighboring departments. Roanoke County surrounds us. So if you think like the Roanoke Valley is like a donut, Roanoke County is the outside, the city's in the center, and then there's the city of Salem, which is right next to us. They're a very small department, but there's a lot of mutual aid requests for us to go out, and vice versa.
Nice. It keeps you guys on your toes, I'm sure.
Yeah, very different tactics and demography or geography as well. Right? The county doesn't have a lot of hydrants. Once you get further out, we don't have anywhere in the city that isn't protected by hydrants. So we don't have drop tanks or anything on any of our trucks. You go there and they're setting up a rural water supply, and it's like, all right.
Yeah. All right. Well, tactics in mind. So you've been around a little bit. You've been in Jersey and you've been down there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember your first fire in both places?
So I thought about that. I know my first fire in Roanoke. I can't, for the life of me, distinguish what my first fire was in New Jersey, based off going to fires with my dad when he was chief and riding in the buggy and then junior member time. Like, there's a lot. It had to be in Point Beach or Point Borough for Jersey. Roanoke was on Ferdinand Avenue. When I came out of the academy, I got assigned to Station 1, which is the big house in the South Battalion. So the city of Roanoke is divided by the railroad. In the middle, you have North Battalion, which is Battalion 2, South Battalion is Battalion 1. I got assigned to Station 1, which is engine company, a tiller, medic, battalion chief, and EMS supervisor are all housed there. So it was a simple fire. It was just a room and contents, bedroom fire, mattress caught on fire. There were some learning points that happened. I remember I had Captain Decker, who's a 20-plus year captain, super well respected, awesome guy, one of the best firemen I've ever seen. I had left him at the Charlie Delta corner, and that's where the cops were standing. And they're like, "Oh yeah, there's smoke." And he's like, "All right, go get a line." I go get the line, bring it through the yard. I'm getting there, I'm masking up, and I'm like, where'd he go? And I turn and I just hear muffled yelling, and he is at the Alpha Delta corner, pointing and screaming. The entrance, it was a cut-up house that had been turned into 4 apartments, so the entrance to get there ended up being on the Alpha side. I just remember, stretching, going up, small bedroom fire, didn't extend anywhere, but just, that was the first experience I had in Roanoke where we have a lot of these really big old homes that are cut up into, 4, 5, 6 apartments, and getting through them is not always as simple as it may appear from the outside.
Yeah. Been there. It's always a humbling
and Roanoke's
like,
tough, man. We're on top of each other. It is an aggressive, quick, fast-paced department. So Ladder 7 had nosed up to Engine 1, and I stretched to the wrong spot, and Ladder 7, their backwards man, started going back to their rig and pulling a cross lay and was going to try and beat me into, our first 2 fire. And thankfully something happened, and we still, stretched upstairs before they were able to. But, there are a lot of parts of the city that are a dogfight, even in very much your first due.
That's awesome. I like a little bit of aggression. It's goes a long way.
Healthy competition's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now your truck companies, do you have dry trucks and quints?
We have 1 dry truck. So Ladder 1, the tiller, is a true truck.
Mm-hmm.
The other 3 are quints.
Okay.
And then we have a tiller on order that will also be a quint. That's replacing one of the rear mount sticks. So we're getting a second tiller. That's awesome. It'll have a pump. Okay, I'm down with the tiller.
The old quintiller.
Yeah, or quiller is it's being referred to as.
Southwall guys would like to hear that.
Yeah, but it's needed. Ladder 1 is an extrication piece. We do all our extrication from the ladder trucks. We don't have a dedicated rescue company. Ladder 5 is a rear mount stick that is also an extrication piece. So it's jam-packed with equipment. It's got so much stuff on it, and they need that extra space of having that, a tiller. So it'll be a good improvement for the department. We used to have 2 tillers, and then somewhere along the history, we lost one.
That's good. That's good for you guys. I'm jealous. I wish we still had our tiller, but
I was gonna say you had one.
She's gone. She's actually down by you guys somewhere.
That aerial scope is cool though.
Yeah, we got 2 of them now, so they're both great pieces. They're great rigs. So, what do you think's been most impactful so far in your fire service career?
I think having good leaders has been the most impactful thing on me. I have been super fortunate in terms of company officers, guys that are just either I've gone kind of the extreme. I had guys that were at the end of their career, and then recently I had the youngest captain in the city, who have all been phenomenal. I think it's impacted me not just in fire service career, but also in personal growth, pushing myself, kind of seeing where I want to go, what I want to do. They've supported me. I wanted to do tech rescue, so I got moved into that house and had a ton of support from probably one of my biggest mentors was retired Battalion Chief Riddleberger, who's now the Division Chief of Technical Rescue for the state of Virginia. He was a big role, and just having these guys impact me in my family life, making me into a better person, challenging me to do better, be better. I think has been the biggest impact the fire service has had on my life.
It's awesome. So now you brought it up. Let's talk about Tech Rescue. I see the shirt.
Yeah.
How are you a participant?
I am.
So tell us about the Virginia Rescue Challenge.
Rescue Challenge is probably some of the best training I've ever gone to in my life. This past year we were in Northern Virginia. I'll start for people that don't know about Rescue Challenge. Rescue Challenge is run by the Technical Rescue Association of Virginia, which is like a private entity made up of firemen and the tech rescue field. The state helps sponsor it. The Department of Fire Programs helps put it on. And it travels the state. So it's a week-long competition. There's no actual points, and the score doesn't matter, but there's definitely competition. And it basically covers all the different disciplines. And there's teams from all over the place. Jersey sends a team. Maryland, Flemington Raritan's there. PG, the U.S. Army has a team in it every year. It travels between the beach, Central Virginia, Northern Virginia. Roanoke is a hosting location. And then this coming fall will be in the Shenandoah Valley, which is their first time ever hosting. It's awesome. Probably the best, most realistic tech rescue scenarios you could come up with. And like this year, being in Northern Virginia was super cool. We had a lot of DC guys putting on classes. And it makes you think, it makes you work. Roanoke is a big tech rescue region. We don't necessarily have the money and resources of a lot of places. But we have some guys that are just super dedicated, really knowledgeable, and we work really well as a team, mainly because we're always working together, right? The city of Roanoke cannot handle a technical rescue incident by ourselves. So we're part of Division Task Force 6. It's us, Roanoke County, Salem, Franklin County, and we make up that region. We work together. We have a regional drill this week on a confined space. So Trav is awesome. Rescue Challenge is awesome. This will be my third year going in Shenandoah, and I'm excited to see what they have to offer. A lot of caves out that way, so it'd be interesting to see if that's
Oh, that's cool.
I love con space. I don't like caves. Caves are weird.
Caves are all sketchy.
Dude, you watch some of those things, they fill up with water because it rains a little bit, and that's
something you won't really find in New Jersey.
Right. Dude, mountains was a change, right?
Yeah.
I grew up like blocks from the beach.
Yeah.
And then coming out here and getting ready for the fire academy, I was like, I gotta run up what? So
you run up this mountain here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've
good.
Definitely buffed the Virginia Rescue Challenge Instagram, and I'm always like, man, I would kill to go to that. Kill to sneak in, and I know the North Jersey guys kind of sneak in. So.
Yeah, they've been from my understanding, they've been in it for a long time, and they do really well. They're squared away.
They have some really, really smart guys.
Yeah, and they bring that entire
really
truck with them, which is awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's cool.
Good stuff.
So
have you?
Go ahead, Rich.
Go ahead, James. No,
James. I was gonna. No, are you still going on tech rescue, or you want to?
No, I'm just dabbling, going all over.
I want to hear about what your most impactful fire or maybe even incident that you've been on in Roanoke.
Don't incriminate yourself if you you can't, but give the ballpark here.
Yeah, so I was looking at this question. I was like, what? I started I have an album on my phone called Jobs that is every fire I've been to in the city, and I was looking through it, and I'm like, oh, that was a good fire. That was a good fire. I have driven and pumped a ton of fires in comparison to fires in which I think I've actually been inside. Besides, like your kitchen fires and your small fires. Impactful or like memorable would probably be like I have two fires in which it was our rookies' first fires. When in being out in company, and kind of just going through that with them, seeing the excitement on their face after coming out and like catching their first job. Those are probably my most like memorable. Impactful would probably be just the first fire I pumped. Always stood out in my mind. We were doing like a Chiefs roundtable meeting at Station 4. So it's like Station 4 was there. I think Station 7 was there with the ladder. And then Chiefs 1, 2, and 3 were there. And you're talking about like, problems, concerns, where do you want to see the department go, stuff like this. It was my first day. I had just been cleared as a driver for maybe a week or two. And we got banged out for a possible fire. Came out of station, made a left, and there's just a header. And I was like, all right, this will be cool. Captain Todd Riley, super knowledgeable guy, 20 years, I think. Gives me directions. We pull up, delta sides lit off. I get out, put the truck in pump gear, turn around, and there's Chiefs 1, 2, and 3 just standing there. And I was like, all right, pressure's on. But then just like everything went fine. It was smooth. It ended up being like attached porch that extended briefly into the living room, but just kind of that moment of like, you know what you're doing. You've got this. Be confident in yourself. And then the added crowd didn't help. Chief 1 ended up pulling 5-inch off and hand jacking it to the next coming truck that did a reverse away. I mean, that one was kind of like a big confidence boost, right? As I transitioned kind of to being from a young guy riding backwards to, hey, you're going to be a fill-in driver. The city goes to a lot of fires, and to get that first fire and just, that impact and confidence build. Because even in Jersey, when I drove, I don't think I'd ever pumped a fire besides like a car fire or trash fire at that point. That was definitely impactful. And now, for a year plus, when I was my past assignment, I drove every time that I was on the engine. So we have a very young department currently. So the kind of middle-aged group guys, we end up driving a lot.
Is your department heavy Virginia, like born and raised folk, or is it like
no? We have
transplants.
We have a lot of transplants now. So the older guys, they're mainly Virginia guys, but we definitely have a lot of guys coming in from out of state. There's a lot of Jersey guys. Where I live here near Smith Mountain Lake, it's like everybody here is from New Jersey or New York, or it's all transplants, as they call us. We're Yankees. Yeah, it's an endearing term. But yeah, a lot of guys coming from out of state, a lot of guys coming with their experience, but there are some rock solid homegrown guys. So I volunteer out here in Bedford County as well with the department Medina. And in Bedford County, you have Bedford Fire Department in the town, and then you have the Forest Volunteer Fire Department, and then Stewartsville Fire Department are your kind of big four. And those places just produce solid firemen. A lot of fire out here in the county, a lot of really bad traps. Way more traps out here than we run in the city, and there's an interstate that runs through the middle of the city. But here in these backcountry roads, people doing 80 miles an hour and find an oak tree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Get all twisted up.
Yeah. But this area produces some really good firemen, and a lot of them, thankfully, work for the city of Roanoke.
I've seen Bedford. I've seen them on social media.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's the only Bedford fire department in Virginia, right?
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge.
They got some badass rigs.
They do. They have a tiller.
Yeah,
they have a walk-in rescue. They have a really nice engine.
Yeah. I've definitely seen them, and I think I've posted them a few times.
Yeah, they're a solid group of guys.
They catch some good work.
Yeah.
Okay, so riding on the engine in the pneumatic house.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see yourself going? What's a 5-year plan?
I'd like to get promoted. I'm currently sitting on the promotional list for the rank lieutenant. It's a tough process in Roanoke. A lot of guys, they'll get upset. They don't get promoted. It takes a long time. I can tell you, even if I'm in the same position I'm in now, 5 years, still riding as a firefighter medic, I'd be more than happy, right? This has been my dream my entire life. I get to go to work, enjoy what I do. I work with a great group of guys. We train a lot. We stay aggressive. I'm taking classes. I'm going on deployments with the, division team. Life is good. I have no complaints. I'd like to promote just because the next step in the career, right? You're trying to work upwards. I'd like to finish my career as a captain. I have 20 years left until I'm eligible to retire, so there's no rush. But 5 years from now, if I can make lieutenant, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I like it. Very based.
Yeah.
Very based right there.
Yeah, man. This is the dream. And then you hear from these guys that make, being an officer, and they're like, riding backwards was the best part of the job. And, you don't want to rush through that. We have a lot of guys that in the past used to promote because it used to be when you made lieutenant, you didn't have to ride the ambulance anymore. You're just on the engine. With the paramedic shortage nationwide and stuff, lieutenants do get asked to fill in. There's some houses where they ride more consistently. We do a weird ALS, BLS truck rotation where, fire station number 2, their ambulance is ALS one of the 3 days, right? And they don't have a firefighter medic there right now, so the junior lieutenant, who's a medic, rides it once a cycle. So it's not terrible. But, there was that old mindset of, well, you promote to get off the ambulance, and a lot of people have gone away from that, right? That's not the reason you want to become an officer. You want to become an officer because you think you have some type of leadership trait and you want to make the people around you better, right? Once you hit that leadership level, it's not about you. It's actually never about you. It's about the citizens. But once you have a position where you have some more influence and you can kind of influence change and make change at the officer level, it really needs to be focused on the people around you and the organization. So that would be my ambition for promoting.
I like that.
I think
awesome.
That's awesome. And I'm really excited about where the fire service is actually at these days, because we have a similar dynamic where in the past guys would try and promote to get off the ambulance, and all the guys I know who are getting ready for our next cycle here, they want to be better. They want the fire department to be better and improve their guys. All the young guys are pushing for jobs. Hold on. What do they got? Oh, structure fire. All right, boys. I'm going to leave you here. So I'll see you.
All right. That's a
Peace
first.
be with you.
That's a first.
I'll catch up with you. Casey, it was nice talking to you.
Nice meeting you.
Oh, that's a first for us.
At the park?
Tom's River.
Oh.
That's it. Let me pull it up real quick.
Who does he run with?
What's that?
Which house does he run with, Tom's River?
I think he's Silverton or Island Heights.
Okay.
I always get the two confused.
Yeah,
I think he's. I think Island Heights or Silverton.
9 departments down there.
Yeah, it's huge. Always going to fires.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could finish it up without Rich.
Yeah, we don't need.
Hopefully it's a good job for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, so you told us about how you want to see yourself in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you haven't accomplished yet in your career that you'd like to do besides getting promoted?
I'll be honest. I've been really fortunate. I've done most of the things I want to do. I went and got my paramedic. That was on my checkbox, right? I kind of grew up in the EMS world, being an EMT since 16. When I got hired in Roanoke, I had been an EMT for 8 years. So medic was kind of that next logical step. So I did that. And then I really wanted to get into the tech rescue and swift water side. And then I think this spring I'm taking tower tech and watercraft, which will, besides going to collapse school at Virginia Beach, will kind of close out my technician level across the board. I've never been assigned much to a ladder company. I don't really enjoy truck work. Very much an engine guy. It'd be cool to spend a little bit of time on a truck, especially because they are our extrication pieces. Mm-hmm. I think the only thing maybe would be I'd like to get assigned to the training division at some point in my career. You guys run your own
academy?
Yeah, so we actually just stood up our own training center. For years, we were attached to the Roanoke Valley Regional Fire Training Center,
Mm-hmm.
which has all 3 agencies there, and the academies had recruits from all of them. And right now, we just started an academy that is the first academy of the City of Roanoke Fire EMS Training Center, and that's going to be an awesome facility. We're going to host a lot of classes, bring stuff from the outside. It's dedicated, just to our department, and allows us to really specialize in what we do.
That's awesome. You run big academy classes usually? I know you said your departments are very young.
Yes, like my academy was in 2018. We had 55 in the academy, 25 of which were probably Roanoke City. I think this current class has like 14 in it, which will hopefully start to be more of our average, right? As the attrition kind of slows down. We had a lot of big retirements. We probably have another big retirement coming up in a year or two. There were some big raises that came out, so some guys stayed. So we'll see a little bit more turnover there. But we have a really solid group of young officers. I mentioned this on our podcast, the Ring Down podcast. Shout out.
But we're going to get to that.
Sweet. I mentioned it on there as well. We have such solid young guys that are coming up in this department that the future's really bright. And now that we're able to run our own academy, not that the old academy was bad, right? I went through it. It was hard and it was a good learning experience. But there's stuff that's catered to 3 different departments, right? So the more you can focus on the goals and objectives of your agency, the better out the people are going to be when they come in the company. They're going to have a better understanding of how you operate without it being like, all right, well, this is the test way or the Valley way. No, this is the Roanoke way. This is the way that we do it. When you get on our engine company, this is what we expect of you. That's nice.
Yeah, I can feel that when I went back to the academy after getting hired. We had 4 different departments in the academy class, and when we were doing the training, my department is a lot further than some of the other departments that were closer to the academy. And they would bring their engine, and we'd be stretching off their engine. And I had never pulled a Minuteman hose light before, nor packed it. And I've always flat loads, and it was interesting. Then going back home after the academy and back to flat hose loads. So
Right.
I can definitely see how having it tailored to your operations, the way you guys run, is nice.
Yeah, it's super helpful, especially like you mentioned, bringing your own apparatus, right? So we have a new engine spec. Pretty much everything's coming off the rear on our new engines. We have a couple of them on order. They're still like a cross layer 2. My engine's a 2018. It's not our new spec. It's still a Pierce Quantum. We're switching to all enforcers, it seems. And, so to be able to bring one of each on your fire suppression day or to your burns, and people be able to pull those lines, and when they come to company, it's not the first time they've ever seen it.
Mm-hmm.
We run flat lays for the most part. The trucks with the hose off the rear are starting to run Minutemans just because it's super easy to do. Don't have to have that availability to pull it from either side. So Cool to see that progress.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you do outside? Let's talk about the ring down. What do you do outside of work?
So the ring down is the Roanoke Fire EMS official podcast. We've aired 1 episode. It was the brainchild of our risk reduction specialist, Hope. She's awesome. She's got so many ideas for recruitment and retention. She doesn't want to do these cheesy TikTok things that you see departments put up. She wants input from the people out in the field. So the ring down is focused on the job and the city of Roanoke, right? So this year is really going to talk about all the things the department offers. So City of Roanoke is the regional tech rescue team, the regional hazmat team. We have our own fire marshals and fire investigators. We do the I can't think of the name of it now. It's terrible. Through the union, like the mental health group that will travel the state. So it's kind of bring people in from all those teams, focus on them, let them talk about the job, talk about the city, and we're going to use it as a recruitment tool. And then from there, we're going to, bring people to talk about the job, talk about their experience in the city, fires they've been on, impactful things, and kind of use it for that. I think it's different. It's a new approach. We're excited about it.
I think it's great. I think you'll get a lot of listeners even outside of your department. Because I know FDNY runs their podcast. I listen to every single episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you'll definitely catch an audience from across the country.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Yeah,
and then good for you guys.
Outside of that, I'm the chair of a committee called the Community Risk Reduction Committee. Right now, our big focus is on overdoses. Roanoke is the number 2 non-fatal overdose city in the country. We run a ton of overdoses and kind of just focusing on how to provide resources for that, limit that. I teach at the training center, and then the tech rescue teams take up the rest of my time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Seems like you're very busy.
More than my wife would enjoy. I work a part-time job. I run my own business. There's a lot, and we have a baby on the way. So.
Oh, congratulations! I didn't know that.
Thank you. Yeah, baby number 1, July 30th is the due date. So
good for you.
The whole world is going to change.
Yes, it will. Yep. I'm surprised we haven't heard mine downstairs right now.
Yeah.
So you have your own business. What do you do on the side?
I'm doing a drone business I started this past fall. It's called Fury Aerial Imagery. Trying to do drone photography, videography for real estate companies, for businesses. I just did a bunch of work for the city, doing pictures of firehouses for the annual report and stuff like that. So trying to get that off, for a terrible pun, off the ground. But it's slow growth, but we'll see what happens.
Nice.
It's less physically demanding than some of the other side work I've done. So
yeah, get your mind elsewhere, and
yeah, and there's more time at home, right? I get the video and I come home and sit in this office and edit it. My wife can be home, So
nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
So we'll transition over a little bit. We'll talk about training a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a class or a training conference that you would make mandatory for every firefighter, which one would you choose?
So there's two ways I'd go with this. For me, being an engine company guy, a solid class on the basics of engine company operations and just firefighting. Right? Everyone knows the quicker the fire goes out, the safer everything becomes. So any class you can take that is just dedicated to making good stretches, good application of water, selecting where you need to go, being a good nozzleman, I think is the most important thing you can have in the fire service. Truck culture is its own thing. People get really caught up in that. Like I said, I'm not a truck guy. Spent my entire career pretty much on an engine company house. So there would be that. The second way I go with it is I attended the Virginia Fire Officers Academy, which is there's a residential program and then there's a modular program, but it focuses a lot on being a leader outside of the fire ground, right? A lot of people, especially on the career side and on the volunteer side, you have all these different personalities that are coming together, and you have to manage that. And I think a lot of times that's done poorly, because this is your family. Like this is your brothers and sisters, and you need to be able to help them, mentally, emotionally, get through what they have going on. And there's a lot more to being a leader in the fire department besides telling people where to stretch the line, where to throw a ladder, different policies and department objectives. So for the firemen, it would be, an engine company focused class that is just about making good stretches and, actually fighting fire quickly, efficiently. And then on the officer side, it's that course brings in speakers that have nothing to do with the fire service that were just great, military guys, and talks about, just being able to focus off the fire ground and help, that mental side and be just a good leader and a good boss.
I think that's huge. I'm very interested in that Virginia leadership course. Is it strictly Virginia firefighters that are in it?
To the best of my knowledge, it is. It's run by the Virginia Fire Chiefs Association.
Mm-hmm.
I can get you an answer. I'll text you. But as far as I'm aware, it's just for Virginia. So you have the Fire Officer Academy, and then you have the Chief Officers Academy. So after you attend the Fire Officers Academy and graduate from that, you can take the Chiefs Officer Academy, which kind of just has a different approach, more of a big department kind of approach as opposed to managing a single company.
Awesome. Love that. So talking about conferences and classes and what are you a big reader?
No, not a big reader. I wish I could be. I'm really good at starting books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all are.
Yeah, and then about halfway.
I've got I don't know if you can see, I've got a few over there that have been started.
My wife will read like a book in a day. I'm reading the book that I'm actually almost done with, miraculously. I couldn't tell the author off the top of my head. It's called The Men We Need. It's a faith-based book. I'm a religious man, and I think it's important. But it's more just about fulfilling the role you need. People should feel more comfortable and safer because you're around, right? And that's kind of an approach that I agree with. It's a good book. And really challenge you just to be a better person. Be a better husband, be a better father, be a better friend, be there for the people that are around you. People expect to be able to rely on you, and you should be able to live up to that obligation. And it's the way in which God has intended for you to live, as a leader in your community. So that book is kind of along those lines. The Men We Need.
The Men We Need.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I like that. I wish I kept up with my faith a little bit over the years. It's kind of drifted off a little bit.
You can always go back.
I know. Believe me, I keep talking to myself about that.
Yeah.
But awesome. Well, I appreciate you hopping on with us today.
Yeah. I hope Rich catches a good job.
I hope. Yeah. I'm gonna dig into my phone and see what it is as soon as we hop off. Good luck with the ring down. Good luck with your career aspirations, and hopefully we can maybe have you on in the future and do a little update and see how you're doing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I really appreciate you bringing me on. Definitely something different out of my element. I'm not really one to talk about myself. I don't feel like I don't like the limelight. So this was definitely cool. You guys are doing great.
It's completely different being on the opposite side of a podcast.
Yeah, and you guys are doing great stuff here. So I'm just honored to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Just stick around. I'm just gonna cut it, and then we'll head into the post show a little bit.